Hello everyone, Moonlight here, and today I have something very interesting to talk about. First, I want to thank my friend Frostwing because without her, I don't think I would have made this nor check out this game. So, today I'll tell you about Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. What is that, you may ask? Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a visual novel adventure game developed and published by Capcom. It was released in 2001 in Japan. A high-definition version of the first three games called Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright's Trilogy HD was released for iOS and Androids in Japan on February 7, 2012. Without out of the way, let's get into the first game. Before you ask, why would you talk about only the first game when there are 3 more? Look, the grand total of the games is 6, and if I had to watch the 3 main games plus 3 more with hundreds of hours of content, this video will take a year to make. So let's take it easy and look at the first Ace Attorney. I feel I have to give a spoiler warning even if I'm not going to talk about the cases in detail because they are way too long and because I want you to go play or see the game. Hehe. First case of the game, we are introduced to the first mysterious murder and Phoenix Wright, who will be playing as. And right off the bat, you can see that this is his first case ever, cause my boy here is a ball of nerves. We meet his chief Mia, who is helping him in the courtroom. The first trial is on Phoenix's best friend Larry, who has been accused to have killed his girlfriend with a clock in the form of the statue of the Thinker. By providing the correct evidence and making the right choices, you can win the trial and the judge proclaims Larry not guilty. However, things don't end there, as Phoenix says that clock was soon to be at the center of another incident. And guess what? The second murder ends up to be Mia herself. Here we get to meet Maya, Mia's younger sister, and let me get this out of the way. In my opinion, Maya and Mia are the female versions of Yugi and Yami from Yu-Gi-Oh! Maya is a spirit medium, aka she can talk to spirit, and through the entire game, Mia can literally take over Maya's body and talk to Phoenix and help him in the court. Now, do you see the similarities? It's kinda sad that Maya doesn't have a Millennium puzzle. Sorry, Maya. Oh, let me not forget that we also meet Detective Gumshoe, who, for me personally, is a big goofball. Anyway, this trial is all over the place. First, Maya is being accused for murdering her own sister because there is a so-called witness that is this woman. I gotta warn you everyone, don't be fooled by her appearances because when you crack her kawaii innocent looking shell, well, she can be quite the bitch if I say so myself. But hey, there is something good here, and that is the introduction of Miles Edgeworth, who is the prosecutor. After the trial, April is put behind bars where she can't rip your guts out. Phoenix goes to talk to this guy called Grossberg. From him, our defense attorney learns that there was someone else with Miss May at the night of Mia's murder. His name is Mr. Red White, the CEO of Blue Corp. So Phoenix goes and talks to this guy whose face I just want to punch really much. Anyway, white guy here.
Hold up.
Okay, that didn't sound right, I'm sorry. Isn't very pleased with Phoenix, so he accuses Wright of murdering his late mentor and gets him arrested. Phoenix becomes the prime suspect in the murder and it's taken to court. Poor Mia and Phoenix, I really feel bad for them in this situation. And what was funnier was that Phoenix was his own defense attorney. Oh, and in that trial, Mia gets channeled by Maya and assists Wright in his trial. By providing the correct proof and making the right accusations, you can win the trial and Phoenix gets off the hook. Mr. Wright confesses that he was the murderer all along. Overall, I think this case or episode, as they're calling the game, ends on a sweet note. Not only that I wasn't interested in it, but for me, the process of talking to witnesses, gathering the evidence, and etc. felt a little bit too long for me. Nonetheless, I need to say what happened, even if I don't really like it. The case revolves around the murder of an actor on a kids show called The Steel Samurai Jack Hammer, who was claimed to have been murdered by this guy called Will Power. If you ask me, just by looking at him, I can say he didn't kill anybody. I mean, look at him, he's like a big teddy bear. Phoenix and Maya go to the crime scene and a long process of gathering evidences begin. Oh, and they meet this creepy looking old lady. Okay, so let me jump you to the end of this long ass trial where things get exciting. Things essentially boil down to the producer of the show, Miss Vasquez, and oh boy, she is a lady you don't want to mess with. Like, she manages to put under the rug a murder that happened 5 years ago, involving Jack Hammer accidentally killing a fellow actor. When Phoenix and Maya push her to the corner, she calls upon her mafia boys to deal with the defense. I thought these two were done for when suddenly Detective Gunshu shows up and saves them. Lucky, aren't they? Now the real interesting part comes at the trial of Vasquez. Phoenix is trying everything he could come up with in order to win, but this woman wouldn't back down, giving him a really hard time. And when it seems like the judge will end the trial,
objection!
Edgeworth steps in. He teams up with Phoenix and let me remind you, Edgeworth is the prosecutor. He's against the defense. That actually shows two things. Edgeworth is not a heartless person who won't shy to do anything to get someone to be declared guilty, and that he has a good side and human morals, and it hints that maybe Edgeworth wanted to be a defense attorney when he was a child. And here comes the scene that really hints that our boy Edgy has some feelings, wink wink, for Phoenix. I mean, even the YouTuber from who I watch the gameplay said it himself.
I must say, I hadn't expected to meet you again after all these years. In retrospect, it would have been better if we not met. Thanks to you, I'm saddled with unnecessary... This is a fucking romance novel now? What's going on here? Why do I get the feeling I'm missing something? Come on, Nick, tell me. What's the deal with you and Edgeworth? We were gay lovers, Maya. It was another time.
Finally, we have arrived at my favorite case from this game and probably most well known from the whole series. In this case, a murder happens on a lake and Edgeworth gets accused of being the murderer. No one believes that Edgeworth is the killer, so Phoenix, as the good guy he is, go to speak to Edward, and since our boy Edgy here isn't one of the nicest people, no one wants to defend him. So Phoenix is like, since there's no one who wants to be your defense, I'll help you. On the first day of Edward's trial, we meet two new faces. The witness, Laura Hart, who claims to have seen the murder, and the man that me, Frost, and probably the whole community hates the most, Manfred von Karma. And my oh my, he's one evil guy. He's dead set on throwing Edward in jail ASAP. Anyway, Laura presents herself as a witness and two photos who don't help much because you can't really recognize the people in them. Suddenly, Laura tells everyone that she pretended to be a witness because she really wanted to be a witness in a court trial. Laura, most people try to avoid and actually don't want to be a witness in a trial, but I can't judge you. After all, you were looking for a lake monster by the name of Grody. Anyway, Phoenix manages to point the plot holes in Laura's testimony, and the trial is due to continue another day, giving Phoenix and Maya more time to fight evidence. Now, I think it's time to say, during this trial, we learn about a case that happened 15 years ago that involved Edward. It's called the Dl6 Incident. In it, Edward, when he was a kid, got stuck in an elevator with his father and a belief called Yani Yogi. Don't forget this guy, he'll come up later. Mr. Yogi starts freaking out because they were running out of oxygen and started attacking Gregory Edgeworth, Miles' late father. Terrified, Miles spots Yogi's gun that slid over to him as they were fighting and threw it at them to make them stop brawling. The gun fires and Miles went unconscious. Yani Yogi was the main suspect and the person Miles thought shot his father. The person who got murdered on the lake, Robert Hammond, takes the case and wins the trial, even with the assistance of a spirit medium, Misty Frey, who channeled Gregory's spirit to prove that Yani did the crime. After Yogi was found innocent, the public called Misty Frey a sham and she fled Korean village, leaving her two daughters Mia and Maya behind. After that, Miles was taken in by Von Karmers and raised to be a prodigy prosecutor who only cares about his perfect win record and getting every single criminal to be found guilty. Probably someone will ask, why is this trial from 15 years ago brought up again? And why did you tell us that Mr. Yogi is important? Well, on their search, Phoenix and Maya are told to go visit the boatkeeper of the park, who is this guy. Von Karma tells the judge that this man has lost his memories and only remembers the past 2 years, so there won't be any use of him. After some cross-examination, this old guy runs away for reasons unknown. Okay, so witness is gone, the trial continues for a third day because of that, and Phoenix and Maya are in a bad spot. How did they get out? They called the parrot that the boat guy had with him to testify after Von Karma mockingly suggests this approach. Well, who'd have thought that the game would go this way? To be honest, I think the cross-examination of the parrot was funny as hell and kinda cute. Surprisingly, Polly, that's the name of the parrot, gives a really important piece of information that the boat guy is actually Yani Yogi. Later, when he's brought back, he admits his true identity, proving that he was faking his memory issues, and he confesses on killing Hammond and framing Edward. Edward is proclaimed not guilty, but hold it! there's more. Edward confides in Phoenix and later admits it on court that he believes he shot his dad after being plagued by nightmares of the incident for the past 15 years. So now we're holding another trial, trying to finally resolve the Dl6 incident, whose statute of limitation was going to end that day. Phoenix, not believing Edward killed his dad, starts to figure out the true events of the murder. In a photograph of the initial crime scene, there were 2 bullet holes. One of the bullets was found in the heart of Gregory Edward, and the other bullet seemed to have been shot through the lift door, still missing to this day. The bullet that Edward fired turns out that didn't actually hit his father. In fact, it went through the elevator's door, hitting someone else. The true killer that shouted a terrible scream upon the impact. Phoenix proved with the help of a metal detector that the Von Karma was carrying a bullet in his shoulder, and with the threat of a surgical investigation and comparing the ballistic marking from the 2 bullets, he snapped and once again, just like 15 years ago prior, lets out a terrible scream. Edward manages to connect the scream to that of the persons whom he shot as a child. Finally, the judge proclaims that Von Karma is the true killer behind the Dl6, and oh boy, Von Karma goes nuts. If you ask me, I thought he will goddamn pop like a watermelon when you drop it. The trial ends, everyone can finally relax. Edward thanks Phoenix for the help, Lotta takes a victory picture of the group, and that is the end of this case. After that, there is a bonus case, but I thought it would be better to skip it because for me it isn't that important. In that case, this video is near its end and I would like to...
Objection! It appears that the defense completely forgot about the relationships between the characters. The prosecution would like to present some information to the court.
Oh, very well then. The stage is yours, Frost.
Greetings, my name is Frostwing from the channel with the same name that never uploads, and I'm here to talk about these idiots because I had to drag every single person I know to this hellhole. I am so sorry to every single one of my friends who had to listen to me talking about nonsense for a few hours every time I managed to coerce them into joining a voice call with me. Unfortunately, you are not here to listen to this pathetic sob story of how I tortured every single acquaintance I have with my vast knowledge of this franchise, but here to listen to me complain about some very oblivious characters, to say the least. I believe the easiest way to start this analysis is to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Phoenix himself. Known to the vast internet as that one funny man with the spiky hair and blue suit that yells objection, he is arguably the main protagonist of the series. He's a typical protagonist with the goal of reaching the top by helping innocents, as someone would assume initially without knowing the full context of his backstory. He is kind, values the truth and his friends the most, and incredibly selfless. He's also wearing his heart on his sleeve and blindly trusts his clients, which totally worked for him in and is glaring at me with a mouthing that I am not supposed to talk about the lair games. Okay, he is pretty foolish to say the least. No Moon, I am not referencing that character. No, don't stop looking at me like that. No, I'm not. It's not about Franz, I swear. Okay, moving on from this rather embarrassing display that just occurred, Phoenix is also surprisingly sarcastic, although he never voices his thoughts out loud, and also kind of a crybaby at first, but as soon as he gets his badge he becomes more confident and determined to save his friend. Maya is a wonderful psychic. She acts mostly as a comedic relief, but every character wants some degree in it. She loves food and to bicker with Phoenix, making the dynamic very sibling-like. I honestly believe that this sisterly bond she formed with Nyx was the result of the loss of her sister Mia. To be honest, I believe the creators should have addressed this loss more thoroughly, but perhaps mediums work differently than the rest of their population. Perhaps Maya always feels the spirit of Mia watching them. Maya is not always optimistic though. In 10 About Goodbyes, Maya feels insecure about the fact that she herself feels like she is useless, besides the fact that she's only able to channel Mia to save the day. Although she cannot channel Mia whenever Maya wants. It is more of a randomly managing to channel her. Later, in the scene where Von Karma assaults us with a taser, Maya manages to save a vital piece of evidence which ultimately saves Edgeworth's case, proving to herself and the viewer that she is more useful than she thought. Maya is also very mischievous, often borrowing, quote-unquote borrowing, let me underline that, borrowing some evidence, or convincing Phoenix to buy her burgers at the expense of his own poor wallet. To be honest, Phoenix and Maya are a surprising, compelling pair of protagonists. That's a tongue twister. And this is coming from the person whose favorite characters are usually villains or background characters that never do anything and just exist, and I suddenly decide, yes, you, person who just blinked, you are now my favorite. The strongest part of the relationship is definitely the fact that they are always there for each other, and that they provide emotional comfort to one another. While the two protagonists are the bread and butter of the series, they are often side characters that are incredibly memorable, as well as the game's rival prosecutor. Gumshoe is a clumsy detective who honestly gets bullied too much, #Gumshoe writes non-spawn, with a heart of gold. He's a goof who tries to intimidate you at first and is reclusive to work with you since you are the defense. To someone who you know will give you the initial evidence needed for the first day of the trial. He's extremely loyal, sticking by Edgeworth's side even if the prosecutor constantly threatens to cut his salary. We stand Gumshoe. We need more Gumshoe, Capcom. Please release him from his basement for A7, please! Please! I delve deeper into each character, but sadly I won't be able to make a 3-page analysis of every background character in the first AA, so I deeply apologize. Other notable characters are Mia Fey, the lovable and wise mentor figure, and local Deus Ex Machina lady that swoops in to save the day when Phoenix is too foolish to do it himself. Larry Butts, local idiot whose only goal in life is to date a different model each week. Winston Payne, he's annoying. Oh no. The incompetent judge who somehow hasn't aged a single bit even though we have seen him from almost 20 years. How is he alive? Wendy Oldbag, who I am very afraid of. Will Powers, always a classic gentle giant. Emma Sky, who is not as good as a psychic as Maya, but was entertaining in her own way. Her big sister Lana, who loves her so much she's willing to turn herself in for a crime she never committed. Lotta Hart is always a classic, feisty country girl with, well, as her pun name implies, a big heart. And, of course, Manfred von Karma, who definitely totally didn't traumatize both the kids he raised for their entire childhood, and totally didn't manipulate them into a false idealism that was, in the end, their downfall. And that he isn't totally a messed up piece of piss who is so evil, so twisted that his dirty tactics in court cannot mirror the black that is his heart. I just want to spit on him. I freaking Okay. Moving on from that, we have Marvin Grossberg, who does stuff, and Damon Gaunt, who is totally another guy that totally didn't mess up some people's lives. No siree! Okay, I cannot wait any longer. I gotta talk about Edgeworth. He is one, if not the best written character of the entire series. He starts as a young, bright-eyed kid with the goal of becoming a defense attorney just like his father. He became friends with Phoenix and Larry after Wright was falsely accused of stealing Miles' lunch money back in 4th grade. Edgeworth defended him against the class and teacher, and they became inseparable since then. Until the Dl6 Incident. Because Moon previously explained the events, I won't go over them again, but afterwards he was taken in by Von Karma, who is plagued by nightmares of killing his father for 15 years, developing an intense phobia of elevators and earthquakes, and groomed into becoming the exact opposite of who he once was. He became cold, distant, and calculating, showing no remorse for his actions. All he wanted was for the quote-unquote criminals in the defendant's chair to be found guilty. Once again, I am unfortunately restrained by the fact that I'm forced to talk about his character only in the first game, which is a shame, honestly, since Trials and Tribulations and even the Investigations games let us have a peek into his early career. Because of Miles' sudden disappearance, Phoenix started writing letters, never getting replies, most likely Von Karma's own meddling. When Phoenix was in college, he saw an article about Edgeworth being a so-called demon prosecutor, forging evidence, getting guilty verdicts, using dirty tactics to always win. So because of that, Wright decided to become a defense attorney. Well, that and another reason I cannot tackle due to restraints of only addressing the first game, damn it. So basically, the plot of Legally Blonde ensues. Phoenix gets his badge, yada yada, meets Edgeworth again. The tension between the two is so thick I can cut it with a knife, to be honest. And because Phoenix wins all these trials against Edgeworth, he starts to change. Ah, and who could forget the iconic "Thanks to you, I am saddled with unnecessary feelings" quote. Gayest thing I ever heard. Oh, I forgot to mention the romantic undertones Phoenix and Edgeworth have. Well, not only we have stuff like that, but also we have classics such as trusting each other with their lives, the freaking matching wedding rings much, the official art portraying them as more than mere friends. Oh, and that one time Edgeworth keeps talking about that man and admires him in a clearly non-platonic way, and of course the charting of jet from Europe to see if Phoenix is okay. And of course that part where Iris was like, takes one to know one, when they were talking about Phoenix and their feelings on him, and of course the whole truth or the end. I'm talking about the Lara games again, damn it. Back to the first one, come on Frost, get a grip. Okay. So it seems Moon forgot to tackle Rise from the Ashes, which, understandable, but I required to address it even a bit. At this point, Edgeworth has been betrayed by everyone he was close to. Von Karma, Chief of Police Damon Kant, the Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky, who gave him forged evidence, yeah, no, not pretty. So he's not doing too well, or as the kids say these days, not to poggers. Kill me. After all of that, so he leaves the famous prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, chooses Death Note, and flees to Europe to become a better person. For Phoenix, aww. Which is totally not bad for Phoenix's health. So that happened, and of course he betters himself, and he's no longer the smug piece of garbage he once was, and now only values to find the truth alongside Phoenix, and he calls him his partner. My heart cannot take it! I hope that I won't look at this video a couple of years from now on and ask myself why I was like this. Hello future me, I am doing a cringe. Also, this freaking thing! Excuse me, what is that? Hello? That is not straight! All in all, yes, funny characters I enjoy.
In conclusion, Ace Attorney is a series worth checking out. It has an engaging story with a wonderful and colorful cast of characters, each adding something to the main plot. Even though the games are long and sometimes tedious to go through, they more often than not have a satisfying conclusion or a very important event that makes them unique and fascinating. The fandom is surprisingly chill, and rarely a major disagreement happens between the fans of the franchise. I gotta say, as soon as I stepped into the fandom...
Excuse me, but I need to cut the defense off before she starts blabbering about the fandom. Besides, you lack the information to talk about it.
Oh, come on! I was gonna find some.
Enough. After all, you need to edit this video before the trial ends, otherwise the hard work of our vocal cords will go to waste. Now, go on, shoo.
This is not over, Prosecutor Frostwing!
Yeah, I know. See you all next time. Bye!